And the message says something like, "Hun, I've messed up again. I've been watching porn." Or it says, "I've been talking to her again." Now, pause for just a moment. Even if it's fake, what just happened in her body is real. Her nervous system doesn't pause and say, "Okay, let me verify the source." No, her brain immediately goes into threat detection. It goes into emotional flooding, survival mode. Hey beautiful, are you done with the pain, devastation, and overwhelm that marital betrayal has thrown at you? And you need a real roadmap to recovery. And you also desire to heal God's way. Well, you're in the right place. Hi, I'm Lisa, a betrayal, trauma, and infidelity recovery specialist who went from being crushed and humiliated by my own husband's affair to a global sought-after recovery specialist, helping Christian women and couples just like you heal and recover from the devastation of marital betrayal, all while doing it God's way. Are you ready to dive in? I know I am. So, grab your favorite latte, maybe a glass of wine, snuggle up with your favorite blanket on the couch, and let's focus on you right now. Let's do this, beautiful. Welcome back to another episode of Beauty Beyond Betrayal. So today's episode is a little different, to say the least. This is a bonus episode, I'm going to call it that, and because it's inspired directly by a question one of my clients recently asked during one of our coaching sessions. Oh my gosh, and it was such a great question and such a great coaching question at that. So I thought, you know what? Let's make this into a podcast episode. In the day and time in which we live, it's appropriate. And I want to say this right from the beginning. This question is not irrational. It's not overreacting, and it's not something to dismiss. It's actually incredibly insightful given the world we're living in right now. And I want you to grab your spouse because I believe you both need to be listening to this together because, well, it involves both the unfaithful spouse and the betrayed spouse. Now, the world in which we're living, well, it's kind of crazy, is it not? And because we are entering into a time where technology, especially AI, where it can generate messages, images, videos, and even voices that look and sound really real, completely real. I believe it's important to address this. I even came across a video the other day on YouTube of a father in distress where he was at home and his daughter was in the other room, 10-year-old daughter. And all of a sudden, he hears his daughter say, "Yes, Dad, I'm coming." And immediately he was like, "Wait, what? What's going on?" So he gets up and he goes into the room and the daughter looks perplexed. And he says, "Who were you talking to?" She said, "Dad, I was talking to you. You called me." And he goes, "No, I didn't." And she said, "No, Dad, you did. Like your phone number, Dad, all of that came up on my phone and like I was talking to you." And he goes, "Honey, I didn't call you." So he takes her phone and he looks at it and he goes back to find the source and he recognizes that this was an AI generated phone call. Someone was trying to lure his daughter outside. Scary, right? Yes. And we are in that technology age. AI is real. It can do these things. It can generate messages, images, videos, and even voices that look and sound completely real, just like your loved one. So the question becomes, what happens when something shows up that looks like proof, evidence but isn't actually true. It's not the truth. And for couples healing from betrayal, well, that question matters deeply because trust is already broken. You're working diligently to rebuild it. Safety, well, it's still forming. And something like this could be incredibly destabilizing if you don't have a framework to navigate it. So today, I want to step in deep to this. Yes, we're going to go there. I want to walk you through what this could realistically look like, why it can feel so triggering, and most importantly, how to discern what's real and what's not. So if you haven't already, please grab your spouse and let's get started. Now, here's where I want to start you today. I want you to imagine this scenario for me. Now, it may be a little triggering, so I'm going to give a trigger warning, okay? I'm going to give that trigger warning to you, but stick with me, okay? Imagine this scenario. You, a wife who has been betrayed, you receive a message. It appears to be from your husband. The tone sounds just like him. The language feels exactly like him. It references things only he would know. And the message says something like, "Hun, I've messed up again. I've been watching porn." Or it says, "Hun, I've been talking to her again." Now, pause for just a moment. Even if it's fake, what just happened in your body is real. Your nervous system doesn't pause and say, "Okay, let me verify the source." No, your brain immediately goes into threat detection, emotional flooding, survival mode. All the things are hitting you like a tsunami because betrayal trauma wires your brain to protect. So the first thing we need to understand is this. The reaction is not the problem. The reaction is protection. Okay? That's the first thing we need to stop and we need to recognize. Your reaction is not the problem. It's actually protection. Now, let's talk about some reality here. AI today can mimic writing styles. Absolutely. We now know it can clone voices to a T. It can generate fake screenshots. It can create deepfake videos. Companies like OpenAI and Google DeepMind are advancing this technology rapidly. And while much of it is used for good, it can also be misused. So yes, it is possible for someone to generate something that looks incredibly convincing. Now, let me give you a couple of examples of this to kind of help you with it, because this gives you a real world example of what this could look like. So example number one I want to give you is an AI generated text message. Now, this is a message that appears to come from your spouse. Like it comes up on your phone and whatever you have him logged as on your phone, well, that's what it comes in. So I'm just going to give this away. And some of you might laugh. That's okay. The hubby might not. But, well, you know what? I'm doing the podcast, so I can do it. So on my phone, my husband is logged in as Hunka Hubby. Okay? Yes, you heard me right. He's Hunka Hubby. So the message would appear to come from Hunka Hubby. Also, it would use his tone. Like it would text in words that he would normally use, phrases he would use, even inside jokes that we have just amongst us. Now, example number 2 is a fake screenshot. Now, this is a screenshot of a conversation with an affair person that looks completely real. But guess what? It was generated. Can that happen? You bet your bottom dollar it can. Now, here's example number 3. A voice message. Yes, we're there in technology. Yeah, we are. Now, this is an audio clip that sounds exactly like him confessing something, but it was created using voice cloning. Now, I know some of you are so triggered right now, so let's stop, okay? Let's just stop. Let's take a deep breath in through your nose for about a count of 4. Hold it, and then breathe out through your mouth for a count of 6, okay? Just stop for a moment. I know this can sound triggering. Now hear me clearly. The danger is not just the technology. The danger is what it activates in a traumatized nervous system. And some of you might be feeling some of that right now because it's triggering some things for you, because you're like, oh my word. You mean now we've got to go up against AI? Well, yes and no. I want to help you to differentiate AI from human sources. I want to give you some practical steps, okay? This can really help you. So I want to get you grounded because fear thrives in uncertainty, but clarity creates stability. So here are real practical steps that you as a couple can use to help you differentiate the AI from something that's human, okay? So your first thing is to move from reaction to verification. Because we can get stuck in that reaction, can we not? I mean, that thing hits and we're full blown. So we need to move from that to verifying. The first step is not to assume that this is truth. Okay? Don't just assume. It's time to take a pause and to verify. Now, that might look like calling your spouse directly, asking in real time, did you just send me a text, or did you just call me? Did you just send me this email? Whatever it is. And then checking if it came from a known verified number or device. You see, truth can withstand verification. Deception avoids it at all costs. So when you verify, this is going to help you recognize that, yes, this did indeed come from your husband, or no, it didn't. It came from a source that was AI generated. So this can truly help you. Now here's the second one. Establish a source of truth system. Couples who are in recovery need a shared agreement on what counts as truth. Now let me give you an example of this so you understand what I'm saying. So, for example, your shared agreement could be something like, we only trust communication that happens directly between us. Then you say, well, Lisa, it looked like it was between us, but it wasn't. Well, we go to the next statement. We verify anything that may be questionable before we react. Okay, that's a two-parter, all right? So it might seem like it's between the two of you, but verify it before you go reacting to it. This creates a boundary against manipulation, whether from a person or from technology. So this is a great marriage law to put into place, so to speak. Okay, this is something that you can use. And another thing that you can use is you can, have what's called a security word or a security phrase that you can utilize, where you contact your spouse after you've received some information, a text message, phone call, whatever, and you just plainly say, I need verification. And that is the trigger that automatically lets your spouse know, I need to say the safe phrase or the safe word to let them know what they just received was from me or it wasn't. Okay? It's kind of like a safe word. This dad that I told you about at the beginning of the broadcast, he immediately created a safe word. So moving forward, his daughter would have to ask for the safe word. And if they didn't get it, they knew that that was not dad calling. They had to create something so that the daughter would be safe. You can do the same thing. This is a source of truth system. All right, here's number 3. Look for inconsistencies. Now, what I want you to understand is AI, while it is powerful, it's not perfect. Okay, I'm going to say that again. AI is powerful, but it's not perfect. So you can watch for certain things like slight language differences, timing that doesn't align with your spouse's schedule, missing emotional congruence. In other words, it may sound right, but it feels off. You see, that deep intuition within you, the Holy Spirit really matters. Okay, but it must be paired with verification. So if you've got an inkling deep within your gut, verify it. Okay, that's what you're going to do. Look for the inconsistencies. All right, here's number 4. Use transparency systems. Okay, this is where we help couples inside of our marriage redesign program to create transparency systems, transparency plans. These are great tools that we use, and this is where structure becomes protection. So if you, as the one who's been unfaithful, has open devices, shared passwords, accountability software, clear daily rhythms in place, then accusations or, quote, even evidence can be tested against reality. And you would be able to know whether or not this is AI or not. You see, structure reduces confusion, and consistency builds clarity. So transparency systems are a great tool to use. All right, here's number 5 for you. Regulate before responding. Now, this is critical. Why? Well, because when your nervous system is activated, as you well know, you will interpret everything through fear. We cannot be reasonable with a dysregulated nervous system. Okay? So before you go into reacting, take a pause, breathe, ground yourself, then assess. Okay? So pause, breathe, ground yourself, then assess. Because a regulated mind is able to discern truth, while a flooded mind assumes danger is all around. So make sure you regulate before responding. All right, here is your 6th and final one. Build relational safety, not just digital proof. At the end of the day, it's great to have digital proof. Technology, though, can be manipulated. We're in that age. So it's not enough to just have passwords. It's not enough to just, have these things in place. Consistent character over time is much harder to fake. So the real question becomes, is there ongoing honesty between the two of you? Is there consistency? Is there observable change? Because trust is not built on just one message. It's built on repeated evidence over time. So I want to say this really gently, but very clearly today. We live in a world that is changing rapidly. Technology is evolving at a pace that we never dreamed that it would so evolve. And yes, there may be moments where things look real, but they aren't. But here's the truth you can anchor in. Truth is still truth, and truth can be found. And for couples healing from betrayal, this just means we have to be even more intentional about our communication with one another, verification of the things that we see, hear, being transparent, our emotional regulation, not living in fear, but living in wisdom every single day. Because God wants us not to live in fear, but to live from a place of wisdom. And yes, the one thing I do want to remind you is while things are changing quickly, God is still on the throne. He is still in control. And when you have Him at the center of your relationship, He will guide you through this. Ask Him, above all, to help you not be deceived and to lead you into all truth. So I pray that today's episode blessed you both. I want to thank the gentleman who asked this question because it was a great one and we were able to address some things that probably needed to be addressed in the day and time in which we live. And if this is something you've experienced or even something you feared, well, I hope today gave you clarity, grounding, and a practical path forward. Remember, you're not powerless in this, and your healing does not have to be undone by something that isn't even real. Until next time, be blessed, take care of one another, and remember, God is on the throne. Thanks for stopping by and spending a little time with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's show and you found hope, healing, and encouragement. Please remember to subscribe to my podcast and leave a review. You can even screenshot this episode. You can share it out on Facebook and IG stories. This is how we get the message of hope and healing out to all women and couples who are in need of restoration after betrayal. And if you're ready to move out of that devastation and take the next step in your healing journey, well, make sure to reach out. Schedule your coaching session today. Until next time, love God, live your life passionately, and always choose joy in the midst of any circumstance that you may face. Cheers to you, beautiful.